Okay, welcome to the second video in the Go To Special series. In the first video, which definitely will be a prerequisite to watching this, we handled Go To Special notes, formulas, blank cells, current array, and current region. So we move on. So now the next thing I want to talk about is, selecting objects. And, just to quickly recap, like I said in the first video, when you want to streamline your selection, you have, like, 1,000 cells, you want to select just 10. Rather than looking for those 10, you could use Go To Special if they meet certain criteria that are already predefined in them. Now, this is one I also find interesting. I used to get a report like this back where I used to work, where on every page of the report, it's generated, it could be like a 30-page, 40-page report. Page, being like a page on Excel. Every page has a logo, right? So like in this case now, so I have these logos here. And for me to really clean up that report, I always have to delete, all the logos in that sense. Okay, now if there are like 50 pages, I have 50 logos. I have to now select one, hold control, select the other, hold control and select the other. And of course, I have to be scrolling, looking for them because they are not all in one place. But this is just a quick way if you want to select all, when I mean all objects in, a worksheet, for example, and delete all of them at once. Be careful because when you say objects, it's not limited to, just pictures or images. Even a chart would be an object, and it could also get selected. But if you have just one chart, by the time you select all, you can just click the chart to deselect it. But if you wanted to delete all objects at the same time, for example, we'll use the Go To Special for this. So I will do my Go To Special now. I've been using my Alt-6 based on my quick access toolbar, and I select objects. Once I say objects and do OK, it selects all the objects. Now I just press a simple delete. Boom. And I'm done. Okay. So that's that about that. The next one is an interesting one, row column difference. This is one we see, but most people maybe don't know what it's used for, how it works. So essentially, if I wanted to select the cells that were different, these are two columns of data. I want to select the cells that are different, on each row. Now, obviously, when I select the data, the first row becomes the reference. So what it does is it checks the second row. Is it same or is it different from, the cell in the first column? Okay. So any cell in column 2 that is different from its counterpart on the same row in column 1 is selected. You could use a formula for this, right? And say, oh, if this is equals to this, then this or that. You could also use conditional formatting. But if you just wanted to do it one time, you could use this. I mean, I'm saying that there are other options, but this is just to highlight how you could have used this. So let's select the data. And then we'll do our Go To Special. Okay, now you see this option here, which is what? Row differences. That's really what it does. It just selects for you the cells that are different, in the row. Like I said, the first column is the reference. So do okay. Now you see the selection. So it means that all of these in this selection are cells that are different from, what you have in the first column. So even when you look at J and Lagos, they look like they are same. But yes, I've put in some, trailing and leading spaces in there, so they are not exactly the same. And if you just wanted to, if this was a one-off scenario, I could just type in all of them at one point. I could just say different, different, and I press Control Enter. And different will be populated across all those cells that, maybe had a different, different data in column B versus column A. Now the corollary to that would be, column differences. In this case, what are you checking? You're checking within a column. Oh, is this equal to this? That's really what it does. Okay, so we just do the same thing. Select the data, Control G. Now this is just checking within a column. Okay, now you know that the first row in this case would be the reference, right? So it will be comparing pretty much the second row against the first in a columnar standpoint or from a columnar standpoint. Okay. So when you do okay now, everywhere where in, in that column, what you have in the row 2 is different from row 1 would be selected. So that's just really how you use the row and column differences. Whatever you now do from here is really up to you if you want to highlight all of them, change the font color, or, automatically insert, some other thing in there, or a formula in there or something. That's really up to you. But this at least allows you to just narrow down on that selection if you don't want to use, like a formula or conditional formatting. Okay, so that's that. Let's go to the next one. Here we are going to be talking about precedents and dependents. We really know what that is. If I put in a cell and say equals to A3, it means that wherever I am depends on the value in A3. So if the value in A3 changes, the value in my location also changes. Okay, we know that when we do like some formula auditing type thing, like on the formulas tab, you can do trace precedents, trace dependents. Of course, that just does what? As in points, some arrows and says, oh yes, these are the precedents, these are the dependents, and so on. But you might want to use it, in a different sense. So what this just allows you to do is that when you select a particular cell, you can see the direct precedents and then the indirect precedent. So the direct precedent would be just one level before me. So if I put 1 in this cell and say here equals to this, right? So this cell obviously, as in depends on this, directly. But I can then come here and say maybe this plus. Okay. So yes, in this case, this cell still depends on, the value in cell J3, but not directly. It depends on K, which depends on J. So you can actually choose how you want to see your selection. Do you want to see just the direct or you want to see all of them? So this is what I've just done here. Just sample data. I put a gross salary. I just put some pension contributions, some taxes. The net salary is, deducting the taxes and the pension from the gross. And then the monthly equivalent is just converting this to a monthly pay. So just to see how this works. So I can select this cell, for example, the net salary. I do my special, go to special, and I say precedents. When I say precedents at this point, you see what happens. It says direct only or all levels. So if you say direct only, it will be cells that just directly impact it. So if you do okay, so you can see that, okay, these 3 cells are the cells that what directly impact that. Let's go to the monthly equivalent and try it there. So do, precedents. Okay, and then do direct only. You can see that for direct only, it says only net salary, but net salary itself is dependent on this. So if I then say, instead of that, if I come back and I say precedents and all, precedents, and then say all levels. Okay, so you can see then shows everything because the first level and the subsequent level. So this is different from tracing precedents, which you just put the arrows. This would actually show you and select the cells. If you wanted to give it a special formatting just so that you know them when you see them, you could just do that, right? So that's the same thing. All these are having the same formula. So if I select all these and do Control G and then special and just say precedents and do maybe all levels, it will show you all the cells that precede those cells that I selected. So the trace dependence would also work in the same way. So if I select a cell, it can tell me which cells depend on it. So I select this cell special and I say dependence and let me just say all levels. So it shows me everything that depends. Okay, so you can see the 2 cells that depend on that cell. So that's really how it is. Like I said, for the trace dependence, we're just going to show you formulas, arrows that you can then delete. But for using the go to special, it actually selects because it's actually like a special selection. So it selects the cells that meet that criteria. Okay. Do I want to take one more in this video or am I going to just push both to the next one? We have 3 more. Okay, so I think I'll push the next 3 to the 3rd video. So thank you for watching. This is the 2nd video in the Go To Special series. And I would have to say, if you like the video, hit the like button. You could also hit the subscribe button to subscribe to the channel Excel Moments. And like I always say, if you can think it, Excel most likely, very likely, can do it. For now, I'm out.